Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing well. I am Ankita Sharma, a student journalist from Newshound India Foundation. Today, we will talk about Nirav. Nirav is an NPO opened by students of Enactus Kirori Mal. Nirav basically supports the cause of mental health and stands against the stigma surrounding mental health illness. It provides pro bono services for those who require mental health assistance. We at Newshound India deeply believe in mental well-being of people, and we are really glad to have people from Nirav collaborate with us. So let's start the segment. Today we have Aditya Joshi, an active member of Nirav and the head of human resources at Enactus Kirori Mal.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Aditya. So let's start. Where did it all start? Where did you find the seed? Where did the inspiration come from? Was it a problem, or were you looking at things differently?
So I think a lot of things went into how Nirav started. It started, I think, around the beginning of the year when we had some time and we realized that we wanted to start a new project, and we revived our research and development program at Enactus Kirori Mal. We had extensive sessions about everything. We were brainstorming ideas from literally nothing, and we were discussing things that we could potentially have as a project. All our previous projects are product-based projects, and this time we wanted to do something service-based. So we were exploring that opportunity. But then March happened and the lockdown started and the pandemic happened, and we had to move online. So we decided to make it an online model. So we decided whatever we'll do, we'll make it online so that it is accessible to most people. And the final motivation for this project came from Enactus India. They organized a competition in May where they asked all the Enactus teams across the country to participate in a 1-week program where we had to come up with a business model or a product or a project that would center around the lockdown and the pandemic. And we decided to take the challenge up. We submitted 3 projects. Nirav was one of them. At that time it was not called Nirav, it was called Sahai. And we ended up winning one of the top prizes. We won 5,000 rupees in cash from them, and that motivated us to sort of expand it to a proper project. And that's how we started with this. And we realized it was also the same time when mental health was becoming a major conversation in the country, and we decided to do something in this direction. And that's how Nirav came into existence.
It's very important discussing about mental health, especially around lockdown. So whenever we talk about lockdown, it becomes very evident to question the fact that how did you all research? Given the fact that you had limited resources monetarily too, because you are students, and the physical reach was also limited. So how did you all research?
That's a really good question. Yes, because of the lockdown, we had limited access. We couldn't go out. We couldn't really talk to people about it. So what we did was we relied heavily on news reports of how they were reporting about increasing cases in mental health and people seeking assistance for it. We also started our own questionnaire. We created a Google form with various questions about mental health, about how people were feeling, and we shared it with relevant people of the age group. And we received with more than 300 applications. We had a pretty good idea of what people were feeling. So that really helped us to understand what exactly we needed to tackle with this project. And with that needs assessment, we try to just get to an idea of what exactly we wanted to do. So that helped us make this a stronger model, and that's how we try to research with it. And that was the primary source. And we also tried talking to each other. We realized that even we had so much to bring to the table, and by discussing what we were going through, we realized that we were going through so many common things, and we weren't as isolated as we earlier thought. So that helped us to connect with each other and work better for this model. So I think that's how we research for it.
Oh, that was wonderful. And I think you collected somewhere 300 applications, right?
Yes, more than that. We got more than 300 applications, and that really gave us a good idea of what people were feeling. So I think that was extremely helpful in designing the model.
Right. So, talking about how people were feeling, although you are not a, doctor, but still, what all did you observe I have 2 questions. Like, first, what all did you see that people of our age group were facing?
The at this point, the most common problem that people of our age group was facing was the uncertainty of the events. Because when the lockdown started, we had no idea of how immense this problem was or how widespread this problem was. So we were thinking, okay, it's this March, we'll go back to college in April and things will get better. But we had no idea of how pervasive this pandemic will be. So the first problem was that how uncertain we became because of that. And there was anxiety in a lot of people because we did not know what will go on from now on. And when we started to realize that this is going to be a long time, and before we get out of it, there was also a very constant pressure of being productive. I think all of us faced that everyone we see was, someone was doing an online course, someone was sharing an achievement on LinkedIn, and everyone just felt that we weren't utilizing it as much as we should, and there was a pressure that we were putting on ourselves to be productive. So that was one of the major problems. Then I think accommodating back to family and our homes was a problem, that almost all of us had moved out for college, and just to come back to home with this uncertainty, and that was something that a common problem that we faced. So I think those were the major common problems that we faced. And of course, other than that, there were people who were actually we are very privileged that we weren't exactly suffering because of this pandemic. We had constant source of income at our houses, we had proper food at the table. People were not as fortunate as ourselves, so those problems were definitely more important. So I think those were the common problems.
Yes, very true. I think it is uncertainty is the biggest fear. Fear of the unknown is the biggest one in the world, right? And my second question is it overwhelming for people now to stay around their loved ones? Given the fact that, now there is actually been a shocking rise in the number of domestic violence cases. People have started becoming, more frustrated. Students, especially hostelers, they are finding a lot of problem with their family members. Family members they were once very comfortable living with. Now they are actually having a lot of fights with them. Is it true?
In my opinion, it is extremely difficult for people to get back to it. As I said that, we were all almost out of our homes for college or maybe some jobs, and now we were back. We did not know how long this will last, and that was definitely harder for all of us to accommodate back to. Even with supportive parents, there was this unknown gap between us, that we couldn't communicate properly, and there were expectations from our parents to do well in this time. There were expectations that we had from ourselves. So I think that was definitely hard for us to get back to it, and it is really hard to open up and be comfortable with. Even I know some of my friends who actually had a hard time, getting back to their homes, and some of them couldn't even work properly because they felt too much either pressure or they weren't comfortable with their families. So I think that was extremely hard. I hope, but with the pandemic, I think it has got a little better because we have tried to get a better understanding of each other, and we hope that now it is better. But yes, in the beginning, it was definitely hard for almost all of us to get back to our families with parents and siblings.
Right. Very true. So, let's talk about Nirav. How is everything going? How is work going? And, you must have set a target, that, okay, this is the first month of it. It is a very new organization. Did you have a target, and have you achieved the target? How has the response been?
I'm very glad to say that the initial response for Nirav has been overwhelming, and we did not expect the number of bookings that we had. When we first started, our biggest concern was this. Will we be able to, get to the right people who need the assistance? Will we be able to reach out to exactly the people that we need to? And that was the biggest fear. But once we launched it on 15th September, it was something the response was really good, and we saw people connecting, and they trusting us with the information and trusting us with the process. And we were extremely grateful that happened. And we are currently, the project is in its pilot phase right now, and we're working with it. So it's been really good, and I couldn't be happier for that. So the work has been going really good.
Wow, Aditya. And I really find the business model very easy. The fact that, nowadays, if you have some mental health problem, you have to go to the counselor or the psychiatrist. The fact that, Nirav is providing us with experts, and it's also free, making it accessible for those students, children, or even adults who are, out of funds, or they don't have that monetary power. We can come to Nirav to share the platform, that with experts. So I think it's a commendable job, and I hope it goes on. So talking about this, now that the response is so overwhelming, do you have some future plans, some future projects for Nirav? Where do we see Nirav, 6 months from now?
We do. So as I said initially, it was to just get to the right people, and now that we see a good response and a market for it because it's a free service, I think now the first plan is to have more experts on the board, because that's the backbone of the project. It was something that we worked on in the beginning. We wanted to have the best experts who would work for us, who believed in the cause, and we got in touch with some of the best experts that we could, who helped us pro bono, and we couldn't be more grateful to them. So what we're trying now is to get more experts on board so that we can have more slots available and more people can avail those services. Another thing would be to make it a more automated process. Currently we are operating Nirav manually, where the team manages all the bookings and assigns the therapist to the users. So we're looking at a more automated process, so so that there is increased privacy for the users and the experts, and it has a more efficient system. So I think those are the main factors that we're looking at for the project right now. And finally, to more people, which is dependent on the experts, that we want to reach it to as many people as we possibly can, have as many sessions where people can seek assistance for what they really require at this time. So those are the primary future goals for us at this moment.
Right. Thank you so much, Aditya. I mean, I'm really glad, to have people like you, an organization like Nirav in our country. We really need it. And I applaud the whole team of Nirav. I think there are 20 members in your team?
Yeah.
Or 25?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So, all of you, being hardworking is one thing, but the fact that you were consistent for such a long time, for months, at this time when it's very easy to procrastinate, to be lazy, to watch Netflix, at this time you all were so consistent. You all will be a very, good example for all of us, for all the youth, for all the kids. Thank you so much, Aditya. It was so nice talking to you.
Thank you for saying that, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about it. Thank you, Ankita.